Hi, welcome. I'm David Hellman. I'm here to present to you a short presentation about what flipping your classroom is and to give you some information on how to do that for your own class if you're interested. Now, a little background about myself. I'm a science teacher at Jackson High School. I graduated from Kent State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Education. I can teach any high school science class, but I currently teach chemistry and a sophomore level physical science class. So let's go get started with the flipped classroom. So basically what it is, if you haven't heard of what it is, it's this right here. Is I'm making a video tutorial explaining some of the content outside of class, and then in class we're going to get to do a lot more activities and hands-on work. So ways to think about this here is, again, you're taking your traditional education and kind of flipping it inside out a little bit. And what that kind of looks like here as far as a model goes is your traditional classroom. You have some sort of lecture in class, and the homework is your book notes or problems, I should say. What the flipped classroom is let's do those notes outside of class, and then come into class and actually work on those problems and work on those activities that have to do off those notes. So a lot of the class time, you are not spending time just giving instruction in class, but you're actually working on the material, which is a great resource to have in class as far as the material, instead of asking the students to do it outside of class. As far as the approach goes, basic framework of it is that you can have some type of learning through activity and environment in the classroom where it's all stemming from this classroom flip. Now, the basic idea is to use some sort of video instruction outside of class, and then the actual instruction in class is more of using this technology in the classroom or some type of activity in the classroom. Give you a basic example. What I do most frequently is I assign a video as homework. That's me making a video just like I am here with you guys. The students take the notes on it. It might be an example problem I'm working out, and then we come into class and we actually use the worksheets and do the problems in class. Typically, I would give the notes in class, do the worksheet at home. But as a student, if you get stuck on the first problem, you can't figure out the second one, you've given up by the third problem on the worksheet, and you're like, I don't get this. But in the classroom, when we work in groups, the students can help each other. I'm there to help the students, and they can figure out, they might just need a little hint, but they figure out the first problem, and then they get the second problem, and then they can do the third and the fourth, and they get it, and it makes sense to them, and they're not frustrated with the material, and they're not going to end up with a 0 in the grade book for not having their homework done, which is a great thing to have. Now, when you flip your classroom, you don't just have to use videos. I do book notes. The kids can take notes out of the book outside of the room. We come into class. I highlight the main points that they should have from the notes, and then we move on with that. Another key feature is make sure all the videos try to be about 10 minutes in length or shorter. Maybe a 12-minute video occasionally, but I hate to do anything more than that. Most of the students here have short attention spans, and also you don't want them to sit there forever in front of their computer. It needs to be fluent and quickly, easily accessible for them. So probably got you thinking here a little bit about this flipped classroom, and maybe you've experienced it yourself, or if I'm an elementary teacher, how do I do that? And we'll get there. We'll have resources for you all about each grade level, elementary, middle school, and at the high school level. So the basic premise of where this stems off of is really Bloom's taxonomy. And if you can see here, you have your basic remembering and understanding, lower order thinking, and your higher order thinking here, which is creating and evaluating. Some type of project that the students are going to make themselves or work on, and you get to spend very little time up here in a traditional classroom. About 15% of the time, you get to apply and analyze. Maybe, like in a high school setting, I do a lab, so students analyze their data. Whereas they apply their skills most frequently through homework, doing the worksheets or the book problems outside of class. And a lot of the time in class, understanding and remembering, I'm giving them notes. We're going over basic definitions, basic concepts, the basic understanding. Well, the flip model takes Bloom's taxonomy and inverts it. 21st century schooling, we don't need to spend a lot of time remembering and understanding things anymore. We have access to it all online. If I really don't know a definition, I Google it, and I have the answer. So we need to spend way more time, 85% of my class time, I spend on higher order thinking. We create things in class. We do a lab every single week, multiple ones a week. So they're analyzing and evaluating data constantly. And we start at the application level in class. And that's a great visual here to be able to see this as far as using Bloom's taxonomy to really support our case here. Why is a flipped classroom a good idea? And this is it right here. We want our students to be doing higher order thinking, and this allows us to do that. So, reasons to flip that, to flip your class. You get that higher level thinking. You can actually reach all of your students, which is a great thing. In my classroom, it's set up in groups, and I circulate around to the different groups. We have peer tutoring that goes on all the time, which is a great thing to have. And you do have to work with your students and teach them how to collaborate. They don't know how to do that. They might be able to cooperate and just kind of get along, but not collaborate as far as helping each other answer questions and really come to answers and conclusions on the application work we do in class. And this universal design for learning. I'll talk very briefly on this, but this is actually based off of some architecture, which is design buildings for access for everybody. An example here is I can walk. I'm not in a wheelchair, but I can walk up a ramp just as easily as I can walk up a set of stairs. Take somebody in a wheelchair. They can't go up a set of stairs, but they can go up a set of ramp. So why don't we build buildings that have ramps everywhere, because you and I can walk up them just as well as somebody in a wheelchair. That's the universal design for learning, is if we hit on the fringe, so the outside edge, everyone on the inside benefits. So if I can have all my students in class, maybe not doing all this exact same problem, but at least on the same concept, I can individually help each one of them where they're struggling at, while everyone is going to benefit in class from helping one another. So that's something that you could absolutely look more into yourself, and that's a whole other teaching approach, but it's something that I incorporated into my classroom that I wanted to make you guys aware of. How to actually do this. So what I'm using right now is screencast-o-matic.com. You can create a free account. You can make videos on there. I bought a little cheap webcam on Amazon for a few bucks, and that's what I have my video here for. And it's really just plug and play. And whatever your typical lesson would be, you just kind of record it on your screen, or you can make videos of your classroom. Be creative with it. Use your cell phone. Use the devices. They don't have to be elaborate pieces of work. Some type of storage site. So I use a Google Drive and YouTube. I upload my videos there. The students have access to the links, or I share my Google Drive account with them. And they have access to all these videos. They simply go there, click on it, and open it up. In-class activities. This is where, as being a new teacher, you're going to have a lot to come up with, because you have all of this class time now, because you're not just sitting there talking to the kids. All this class time, you have to come up with a lot of in-class activities. So here are two things that I use. If you're a science person, I would highly urge you to look into PhET. If you've never been on PhET's webpage, it's put on by the University of Boulder, Colorado. Excellent online simulations for science. And then POGIL, which is a process-oriented guided inquiry learning. It's a way of learning using the inquiry learning cycles, and that's a great resource to have. I would Google search that and get on their webpage as well. It's a great resource. So some of the things that you might encounter here is, again, you're going to be doing a ton of activities in class, so it takes prep time, but in the end, it's better class time. You are actually forcing your students to think in class, and they're not just sitting there and passively taking notes. The biggest thing I hear in my class time from a lot of my students is, oh my, I can't believe the period's done already. Like, they say that all the time. It goes by so fast because we are actively engaged doing something. Not all of them like that. You get the kids that they learn how to play school. They sit there, they're a good kid, do my notes. I'm going to study and cram the night before the test and take the test. You know, those students you have to kind of sway over that, hey, thinking for 45 minutes in class, or your younger students actively being engaged, can be a bit challenging. Parents, they've never learned this way. They're not going to conceptually understand what you're talking about, so you kind of really have to make sure you have some type of entry letter or video that you show them during an open house, something to talk to them about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and really use that flipped Bloom's triangle to help aid your cause. Administration, ask them about that. Maybe they're for or against it. I have support from mine, which is great, but that's something to consider. My overall worth, is it worth it? Do I recommend it? Absolutely yes. I will not have a traditional classroom. Again, I love the flipped room. I want to continue doing it forever. It's an awesome way to teach. I'll leave you guys with finding out a little bit more about flipped classrooms and how it can be beneficial. You have 3 different links here, and I would highly suggest you to go out and search a little bit on your own, because when we come to class, and I'll be there to see you guys in class, we're going to talk about these resources and more in class.